Hey everyone, how's it going? So today's video is about making healthy vegan mayonnaise 4 ways. This video was actually suggested by a viewer in the prior video about making gluten-free and vegan deli meat. It was the pastrami edition. She mentioned it in the comments section and I thought, well, that's a great idea. I will make a video about showing you how to make gluten-free and vegan mayonnaise, but 4 different ways to accommodate those with different food allergies. So before I move on to showing you how to make these 4 recipes, I wanted to give you a bit of background information about mayonnaise in general. The Food and Drug Administration defines mayonnaise as an emulsified semi-solid food that contains 65% vegetable oil and egg yolks. And those oils typically are also highly refined soy or corn or canola oils that are high in omega-6s, that's omega-6 fatty acids, and that's linked to inflammation. So the recipes I'm going to show you today, some don't have any oil, and those that do have what we're going to call a healthier oil. It's an avocado oil. It has monosaturated fats, which can lower bad cholesterol, that's your LDL cholesterol, and raise good cholesterol, that's HDL. Now, avocado oil also contains antioxidants such as vitamin E, and that's good for protecting your heart from oxidative damage. But I realize that some of you don't want to use any oil, so I've covered that here in this video as well. I believe 1 or 2 of these recipes don't have any oil in it at all. So for those of you following a no oil diet, the white bean mayo that I'm going to show you, it does not have any oil in it, and the soy version has an optional, I believe, 1 tablespoon of the avocado oil, but I'll show you how you can just eliminate that if you don't want it. And then I know some of you may have nut allergies, so I made a nut-free version because I do have a cashew version, and then some of you have soy allergies, maybe, and nut allergies. So I made a white bean mayonnaise for those of you who don't want to have soy or nuts. So if a product doesn't have this 65% oil ratio in the egg yolks, and it has less than the 65% oil, it may be considered a dressing. A perfect example is Miracle Whip. If you've ever had that, you know it's like mayonnaise, but it has a slightly different texture, and it's also much sweeter than mayonnaise. So what I wanted to say with all of these recipes, you can modify the flavor to your liking. You can make it more like a mayonnaise, meaning less sweet, or more like the dressing Miracle Whip by adding some sweetener like maple syrup. And I'll show you how to do that with all of the recipes. An interesting history about vegan mayonnaise is that it probably dates back to the Follow Your Heart Cafe in 1970. They sold and continue to sell Vegenaise. Originally it was soy-based, and now today I believe they do sell a version that does not have soy, but has pea protein. Before I go on to making all of these recipes, again, I wanted to note that what I will do after I'm finished is I'll line them up. I'm going to show you the texture of each of these, and I'll do a little taste test to tell you both what the mouthfeel is like, and then secondly, what the taste is like, and I'll show you how it spreads on toast. So that'll be at the end after I show you all the recipes. So I'll see you there. Let's get started with the recipes. So the first recipe is a silken tofu mayonnaise. I added 1 cup of silken tofu to my NutriBullet blender. Then I added 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, but I'm going to recommend 1 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, or you could use apple cider vinegar, 1/4 teaspoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I added a tablespoon of avocado oil to add richness. If you don't want this, you could just use a tablespoon of water. So to make this more like a mayonnaise, I did not add a sweetener like maple syrup. If you do want more of the Miracle Whip taste, you could add 1 or 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. After I blended all the ingredients together, I poured the tofu mayonnaise in these cute little beveled mason jars that I bought. I placed the jar in the refrigerator to allow the mayo to cool overnight. So another vegan staple is the mayonnaise made from unsalted, unroasted raw cashews. The cashews, of course, have to be soaked in advance, either for 2 to 4 hours, or preferably overnight. So let me show you how to make this cashew-based mayonnaise. So I placed 1 cup of the soaked and rinsed cashews in my blender cup. So add 1 teaspoon here of lemon juice, as well as 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And for this recipe, I added 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. Just skip it if you don't want the sweet flavor. I then added 1/4 cup of avocado oil. Add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. Then add about 1/4 to 1/3 cups of water, depending on how thick you want your mayo. Keep in mind, this recipe will thicken quite a bit in the refrigerator. I then blended everything together until I had a very nice smooth texture. I actually had to stop to add more water because the mayo was too thick. After this, I blended again and I achieved the texture I was looking for. Then I poured this mayo into a cute little beveled mason jar and I placed it in the refrigerator to cool overnight. So for those of you following a whole foods plant-based diet and you don't want any oil, and maybe perhaps you can't have any nuts, or you don't want them because of the fat, or you can't have soy, or you just don't want soy, or you want an alternative, I'm going to show you how to make a mayonnaise using white beans. So for this recipe, I chose to use cannellini beans, but you can also use something like a white navy bean. To make the white bean mayonnaise, use 1 cup of cooked white beans. I used cannellini, but you can use navy beans. Place these in a high-speed blender. Add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. Add 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. For this recipe, I added 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. If you don't want the sweetness, just don't add any. I also added 2 tablespoons of plant milk, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. I then blended everything together until I had a smooth consistency. And I poured it into a mason jar to store in the refrigerator and thicken overnight. So for this last recipe, I'm going to just confess to you, I found it extremely frustrating to make. And I question whether or not, for me personally, it's something I want to put the time and effort into making, given its high oil content. Now, this is a Aquafaba based mayonnaise. You're going to see a lot of recipes on YouTube, in blogs, and on Instagram and so forth about making this. So I tried it 2 times. My second time yielded a better result. And I'm going to tell you the method that you use to blend this mayonnaise is very important. First, I tried with my NutriBullet. Then I tried secondly with my high-speed blender. I do not have an emulsion blender. I did. I think my husband threw it away. But anyway, I think an emulsion blender is the best thing to use, but I didn't have one. So I'll show you the results. It's predominantly oil, so it is in line with the traditional mayonnaise profile of having a very high oil content. Now granted, it is avocado oil, it's very healthy, but I'm gonna tell you, avocado oil is very expensive. So to make this recipe a few times, I went through a lot of avocado oil, and it's not cheap. And secondly, again, you're consuming a lot of oil. I will say, however, that the taste is so similar to what I remember as being actual genuine mayonnaise. But again, given how delicious some of the others are, how easy they are, and how less stressful it is to make, I choose the others. But I'll show you the outcome, and I'll show you the results that I have. I mean, they're good. They're not exactly what I'd like if I had the ability to use an emulsion blender. So for this first try at my Aquafaba mayonnaise, I dumped everything in the blender all at once, including the oil. Don't do this. I'm going to go through this quickly and spare you having to watch this painful process. The second mistake I made is I used the NutriBullet. Don't do it. It heats up and that ends the emulsion process. So for the second try, the goal was to froth the Aquafaba before adding the oil. So I added 1/4 cup of Aquafaba to the blender. I started blending this alone to see if I could get it to froth. It did a bit, so I started adding the other ingredients. That's 1 teaspoon each of apple cider vinegar and lemon juice. That's also 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon mustard and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I then started blending this at medium speed to get this to froth. I increased the speed to add more air to the liquid. It did froth a bit, so I started drizzling in 3/4 cup of avocado oil. And when I say drizzle, I mean drip by drip, because you want to slowly incorporate the oil. If you dump it all in, it will interfere with the emulsification process. But the other thing I had working against me here was that my blender motor was starting to heat up. I ended up putting the blender colander in the freezer. As you can see, it looks quite cold, and that chilled the liquid and also the container, and this did help with the emulsification. As you can see, the mayonnaise thickened up slightly. This whole process could be much easier using an immersion blender. Like I said, I had one, but I couldn't find it. I wonder where it went. So I poured this mayonnaise into a mason jar and put it in the refrigerator to cool. I think actually I put it in the freezer slightly just to thicken a bit, and then I stirred it around. You'll see, it does turn into a mayonnaise-like consistency. So the first one I have here is the soy-based mayonnaise. I'll show you. I mean, it's quite similar to actual mayonnaise. It's got a thickness to it, but yet creaminess. I'm going to show you how it spreads on this piece of toast. It's quite a lot. So you can see it definitely spreads nicely and holds its, texture, I would say. So I'm going to give it a taste and let you know. It's very similar to actual mayonnaise. It's got a nice creaminess. This one I made without the sweetness. So if you wanted to make it more like a Miracle Whip, you could just add the maple syrup. I think it was a teaspoon of it. But this is very similar to mayonnaise. So if you can have soy, I really do enjoy this version. And it holds up nicely in the refrigerator. I'd say you can store this for about a week. So this next one is the cashew-based mayonnaise. This is quite thick. I think next time around I would thin it out a bit. It did thicken up quite a bit in the refrigerator overnight, but I'll show you the texture. I mean, as you can see, it's really thick, almost like an icing, but it's not really an icing. It's very smooth, but just thick. I don't mind it this thick. I absolutely love anything with cashews in it, cashew cream, cashew cheeses. So you could see this spreads nicely. So let's give this cashew mayonnaise a taste. This is probably my favorite one of all of them. Again, I really like blended cashews. It's very creamy, it's very smooth, and this one has a sweetness to it. I believe cashews are already sweet. The slight maple syrup just enhances that sweetness. It almost reminds me, well, for me, of a tropical flavor. In fact, I'm planning a video about healthy vegan deli meat. I'm going to do a ham series, and what I'd like to do is take the ham and make an Hawaiian macaroni salad with ham, and I'm going to use this cashew mayonnaise. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. So all of these actually you can use in salads, pasta salads and other dressings or salads that require a dressing. So this next one I'm going to show you is the white bean mayonnaise. As you can see, it's slightly more liquidy. You can change that by not adding so much plant milk. I think I added too much plant milk. So when I give you the recipes in written form, I'm going to suggest that you, experiment and add 1 tablespoon first to see what happens. Or you could completely skip that if you like. So here it is on the knife, and it is still spreading, but it's a bit thinner. So I'll give this a taste test, the bean mayonnaise. This is very creamy. It's very smooth. There is a subtle grain to it, not much, because of the beans, but it's still delicious. For me personally, it's too acidic. I think I would cut back on the vinegar that's in here. But again, I think I'm going to recommend a standard format for ingredient amounts for all of these. Again, if you want it, this does not have any sweetener in it, so I don't taste that. It's more of a mayonnaise and a little bit heavy on the acidic side. But this is an awesome alternative for those of you who can't have nuts, don't want soy, or can't have soy, and you don't want any oil. I mean, if you're going for pure, whole foods, plant-based approach to mayonnaise, this is your way to go. Now I'm moving on to what I want to call my nemesis, and that is this Aquafaba-based mayonnaise. It's just challenging. You'll see a lot of videos out there about how easy it is to make, and it is if you do it correctly, but here's the problem. My blender and my NutriBullet both heated up, and heat is just an absolute enemy of the emulsification process. So I did what I could with the blender, and then I had the first round, I had to put the blender in the freezer to cool it down because the motor at the bottom was just heating up the whole base of the blender. So, and then after I made this, I put the whole mayonnaise I put it in the freezer for too long, but it did thicken quite a bit. And when you put it in the refrigerator, it turns back into mayonnaise. So I have a nice thick mayonnaise here, and I'll show you how it spreads. So as you can see, after it being cooled down, it's quite thick. And it spreads nicely. I'll give you a taste test. So here I go with the Aquafaba mayonnaise made with a large amount of avocado oil. Look, without question, it's delicious. Okay, it's creamy, it's rich, it's reminiscent of true mayonnaise. And that's because of all the oil. I mean, this probably meets that 65% oil to Aquafaba ratio. I'm not sure, someone can tell me the math, but its high oil content makes it very, very rich and delicious. I didn't put a lot of flavoring in this one, so it's slightly bland. It could go sweet. It could go more slightly acidic. It would be great in using for potato salad, macaroni salad, putting on your sandwiches. Why am I not so enthusiastic about this is because of the frustration I had to get that emulsification to happen. And secondly, the high cost of all that oil. That's the other thing. But if you're a pro at emulsification and you have an immersion blender, give it a go. The key is, as I've watched, is to keep the blender low and then just slowly move it up. And always, as what I did, you drizzle in the oil slowly. So I'm finishing with this with mixed feelings. It's delicious, but like, do I think it's worth the effort and the cost? I'm not sure, because the cashew's calling me, and so is the soy-based one. Okay, so that wraps up all of the recipes for making healthy, vegan, gluten-free mayonnaise. If you have other recipes that you'd like to share, please feel free to share them in the comments or let others know. And if you have tricks for making the Aquafaba one work with the emulsification, let me know. If you use a blender, I'd love to know how you make it work. I will find that putting the blender in the freezer helps to cool it down. Anyway, enough of my obsession with the Aquafaba disaster, I want to call it at first. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and let me know if you have any other recipes that you'd like converted to vegan and gluten-free recipes. The holidays are coming. I'm planning on recipes for Thanksgiving and for the other holiday seasons. So let me know what you'd like me to make, and I'm happy to see if I can fulfill that request. Also, I'd love if you support the channel by sharing this video and giving it the thumbs up. And certainly, if you're interested, check out these other videos.